Hello, my name is Dr. Tanya Sanders. We, the experts at NWOET, have created this video series to bring you information weekly about some of the topics in technology that are popular or in the news and the headlines. What is, the thing that is buzzing or trending at school districts now? And it's all of our resources and all of our information is going to be helping you with integration of technology successfully into your classroom. All these videos and the resources are going to be posted on a website at the link that you see on the screen right now. We will also be including this video series in our YouTube channel called Know It Now with NWOET. Joining me today for the Know It Now vlog and video blog series today is Judy Tucker and Dr. Roger Manier. This is our third episode for this series. Today our topic is, what will fall 2022 be like? So we're looking a little bit into the future based on past events and the evolution of some of the technological tools out there. And we're going to be looking in our little crystal ball at 2022. I'm going to hand it over to Roger and let him talk a little bit more about this. Good morning, Roger.
Hey, good morning, and thank you. And it's an exciting and interesting time in which we live. Those of you that have been following along releases from the Ohio Department of Education know that one of the things that's going to be different in 2022 is that we're under a new report card system, or if you will, a new scale system for rating the schools for whatever that's better or for worse. It looks like that's going to be coming. And so as we take a look at the things we're discussing today, we need to look at why are we here? I mean, don't forget, we're here to educate kids, but we also have a lot of other masters, if you will, a lot of other goals and tasks that we're confronted with. So, it can get pretty overwhelming, but when you break it into pieces, it's like eating an elephant, one piece at a time, one bit at a time. But as many of you are maybe struggling with, what's this new school reporting system going to look like? How are our schools going to be judged? What's going to be released into the news media? The things we're talking about today, I think, actually will help with student learning first and foremost, helping students grow and mature and learn and develop. But it's also going to help with some of those secondary indexes of how we're doing, including this, new school grading system, if you will, that is being announced, and where the results of how we did according to that particular rubric are going to be released. So to help our kids do better, it's a big picture. It's not just how did they do in one classroom or how did they do in one building, but how are they doing overall? How are they developing, maturing? How are we taking care of their social, emotional, physical, academic needs? But today I'm going to really be focusing on what's going to be happening in terms of the resources available to our students in fall of 21 and especially fall of 2022. The resources that we have available to teach with are changing. In some districts, they're changing very, very rapidly. We're taking a look at the state of Ohio through federal money, local money, state money. There's going to be a laptop or a tablet device, iPad, Kindle, whatever, for virtually every single child in the state. There is funding to make this happen, and your districts are working on, making sure that every single student is going to have their own device. In some districts, that's not news. A few districts have had this for years, but for many districts, having a device for every child, including those that are in the early elementary, that's going to be pretty revolutionary. And so how are we going to deal with that? How are we going to take advantage of the fact that every student is going to have a computer device to help with their learning in classroom, and in most cases, to take home with them as well? And so I think that's one of the things we need to think about as we're preparing for fall 21 and as we're looking further ahead for fall 2022. How is my teaching going to change? How are my lessons going to change? How is my instructional strategies, my evaluation and my assessment, my engagement and interaction with students and their parents? How can this change for the better when every student has a device that they can carry back and forth between home and school, and when every student has home internet? We anticipate that for virtually every student, you've probably heard me say this before, by fall of 21, we're going to have somewhere between 95 and 98% of the homes with home internet. And by fall of 2022, we expect that to be 99.5, 99.8, less than one student out of 1,000 will be missing home internet. Or said another way, 999 students out of every 1,000 are going to have home internet. If you want home internet, you probably are going to have it by fall of 2022. So what makes home internet? Just a quick recap here. In the lower right-hand corner of my screen, you see a map of Ohio, and the big dark circles. Those are areas that already have really incredible Wi-Fi coverage. There's towers every place. Virtually every home can have it. But there's some areas of the state of Ohio where you just can't get cell phone internet. It's almost impossible to get it at home. New towers are being built. That's what you see up here in the corner, a cell phone tower. Those big tall things, they almost look like they have bread pans on them. That's the internet transmitter and receiver device. And there's going to be new ones built over the next 18 months or so. And that's going to be part of what's going to make it possible for virtually every home to have Wi-Fi. So if you're saying, my kids don't have Wi-Fi right now, they can't get home internet right now, wait about 18 months and you will be amazed as these new cell phone towers come up that there's going to be almost 100% coverage across the state of Ohio, and funding to make sure that every family, even those with lowest wealth, are going to be able to have home internet. So this isn't a, gee, I hope it's going to happen someday. This is in progress. And so we need, as educators, to begin thinking right now, how can I take advantage of the students having a device in school and at home, including early elementary? And again, for almost every district, having a device in the early elementary, the K, the grade 1, the grade 2, that they can have at school and at home, probably a tablet, rather than a laptop for the pre-readers, very emerging readers, and probably switching to a laptop or a Chromebook for those students that are a little bit older and that are getting into reading and ability to write and compose sentences and so forth, to take full advantage of the English language arts opportunities that are available, and how we can strengthen students through both traditional paper-based as well as online instruction in reading and writing process. That's coming and it's going to be available. So what is a teacher to do? Well, one of the things that you can do is begin right now taking a look at what apps and devices and learning programs can I begin using with students in the classroom that will work well at home. As I'm looking at programs, at apps, at learning resources, I'm increasingly thinking, can I use this in the classroom and at home as well? That's part of what's going to be different about fall of 2022, is we're not going to have to say, I can only get this in the classroom. We're going to be saying increasingly, I can use this in the classroom and I can use it at home. The Ohio Department of Education, Ohio EdTechs, and other resources, InfoOhio, are compiling lists of, here are apps that work well, both in school and at home. As you may remember from the previous episode of this program, I was emphasizing that, in my opinion, and I think research is supporting this, emerging research is supporting this, a good program, a good app is one where you can get data from individual students and use that data to determine if students are learning, if they're meeting the learning objectives, and how can I help them go further for those that have already met the objectives, and how can I help those struggling learners that haven't met the objectives yet. So I'm looking for apps that do things like that. And so apps like I have on the screen, available from pre-readers up through teens and young adults, look at Common Sense Media as one of the great sources if you're trying to get started. And of course, this is something we at NWOET can help you identify as well. A good starting place is not to have 20 different programs that you're going to be using with your students, but pick 1 or 2 or 3 programs or apps, if you will, online learning resources that you think will really help address your students' critical learning needs. And a little bit later in this program, and especially in the next program coming up, and additional programs in this series, Judy Tucker is going to be sharing apps that have been teacher evaluated and are available to all students in Ohio without charge, that come from InfoHio, as well as other great resources that are available free or at very low cost. So what are we going to do as we prepare for fall 22? First off, we have to recognize and begin discussing among ourselves, among our teacher groups, in the lounge, in our teacher tech committees, with our parent organizations, what's going to be different when there's a laptop or tablet for every child, including early elementary. What's going to be different? And what do I want to be different when students have access to the internet in school and at home? And what kind of resources can I identify and can I begin to learn as a teacher and begin to experience and experiment with as a teacher? A quick recap from last week again, I talked about helping students prepare their home learning space. We know that it's very, very important in all instances, and especially when technology is involved, that students have a spot at home that's as free from distractions as possible. Yeah, you avoid the barking dogs, you avoid the television, you avoid seeing people coming in and out of the front door. You're trying to have a place, if it can't be completely private, and it probably cannot be, at least you designed it to avoid distractions so the student can really concentrate on learning for that 10 or 15 or 30-minute or hour, depending on grade level and what they're working on, that they're really going to be focused on at-home learning objectives. So something else that we need to be thinking about as we're looking at home learning when there's home internet for every household is parent engagement. Have you really sat down and talked with other teachers, with administrators, with your technology planning teams and your district planning teams? Have you really talked about what can we do different in terms of parent engagement? Yes, student engagement, but parent engagement. The Ohio Department of Education, working with the U.S. Department of Education, has available on their website, and this will be posted in our website resources from NWOET, the Parent and Family Digital Learning Guide, where there's many, many resources to talk about how can we increase parent engagement. So boiling it down, I'm always about what are the one or two or three things that we know are going to be really effective, that we know can help improve learning for the student. When it comes to staying in touch with parents, I encourage you to consider online office hours. Many of us, many districts and teachers experimented for the first time ever with online office hours during COVID-19. This is one of those things we may want to think about continuing into the fall of 21 and 22 and beyond. We know that a surprising number of parents, at least surprising to me, a surprising number of parents really engaged in these online office hours. Not every parent, no, but many did, and found it a really great opportunity to have discussions and questions with their teachers that were more meaningful, more timely than the traditional, once a term parent teacher meeting where you only got, 10% of the parents showing up anyway. We find that some parents that have never been engaged before will engage when a teacher has online office hours. Begin thinking about that. How can we make that work? How can we use flexible schedules? How can we take advantage of the extra hours that some districts have available to them, because of, the new calamity days, based on hours and so forth. Can we take some of that time and use it to engage our parents with the online office hours? Teacher newsletters that parents can receive, because we know that they have them, can get them electronically, and cell phones. And this is one of my favorite things. If you haven't tried this, here's a chance to experience it right now. We know that most parents, when I say most, I mean, we're talking somewhere 95 to 98% of parents here summer of 2021 already have a cell phone that can receive text messages. And most of those cell phones have unlimited text messaging. That's different from a message we would have given you 2 or 3 years ago, where we said, oh, be careful. A lot of people are charged for text messages. Nowadays, very, very small percentage of families are being charged for text messages. Mostly they can get as many as they want. They're on unlimited texting plans. So take advantage of that to use the method of communication that parents say they prefer the most, and that is texting. Parents prefer texting over emails, over phone calls, over web pages, over online posting, all of which can be advantageous and have their place. But parents like to do online texting. So I encourage you to try this right now from your district email account. In many cases, that's Gmail. Sometimes it's office account, doesn't matter. From your district email account that you use, try sending me an email. Send it to the address you put in the email is up here on the screen. Now, this is an email address. You're not using your cell phone for this. From your district email, in the address, put in 419-260-2147 at vtext.com. And the email you type in your district email and you hit send from your district email will come to me as a text message. And I will reply to you, just a short little, hey, I got it, it worked. And when I reply from my cell phone as a text message, that text message will automatically be converted into an email that you receive. So you have all of the safety and privacy and security and data recording advantages of an email, but the parent has the advantage of a text message. Additional resources are going to be available at this site, sites.google.com/nwto.org/techtools22. But better yet, this site is going to be linked at the address that's going to be shown on your screen that Tanya is talking about as well. So Tanya, Judy, do you have any thoughts about what fall of 2022 is going to be like? I turn it back to you.
Go ahead, Judy.
Well, I thought right away that we need to encourage schools to have sessions for their parents that are not familiar with Chromebooks or iPads or whatever devices that student has, in small groups. Don't get them too large, but hands-on use of that device so that they feel comfortable helping their students, especially those with special needs. The parents need to know, and we can't assume that all parents know about these devices. They know about their cell phone, whatever kind they have. But as far as the abilities of these devices that the student has, you cannot beat a hands-on session. I mean, you can talk all you want online to a parent, but I think having them, it's just going to build more relationships between the parents and the teachers and the students if you can have hands-on sessions. And I mean,
Judy, that is fantastic, great advice. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I do this session, this presentation, a longer version of it out to districts. I got to add a couple more slides because you are absolutely right.
And
getting parents.
Going beyond that, I would say helping teachers and parents know how to evaluate apps and websites, because you can't assume that all websites are equal, that they propose to be educational sites. There's some I wouldn't recommend, mainly because of in-app purchases and advertising and things like that, that you might get 2 out of 12 of the features. I know I've used some of those with my grandson, and it's like, okay, that's all we can do. They're pointing to these other ones. No, we'd have to give money, and stress that, I hope that there's some protection but I've heard of kids spending thousands of dollars on things that their parents weren't supervising because it was too easy to do that in-app purchase. So that's just my thought. And again, maybe later in another session, I will talk about Open Spaces, which is a wonderful resource on the Info Ohio website that evaluates some of these resources. And I think more will be coming on that site as well.
You, right off of my notepad, you read right off of there, Judy. The two things that I was going to talk about were, and I'll just kind of sum it up here, was the same thing. Parents, you always have to make sure that your parents are educated. And I've seen some school districts do successful parent community nights where they come in and they learn the technology of what the kids are using. So I think that is super important. So well said. The other thing as well that Roger said over and over again, how the teacher uses the device. I think there's a misconception of how how to use the device when a kid has it in front of them 100% of the time, when everybody is one-to-one, the instructional aspect of your classroom changes. It does. And I think that's something that is a topic that can be another series for another episode one of these days. So maybe that's one of the things that we'll cover there. Well, that is all we have for our video blog today. As always, if you ever have any questions, you can email us. The URL that's on your screen right now has our contact information on it. It's going to have all of the resources, and it's all on that blog website at the bit.ly that you see on the screen right now. Next week topic will be more new resources from Info Ohio. We teased you last week and told you that Judy was going to share some more of these resources with you from Info Ohio, and I think you guys, that's going to be worth putting it on your calendar to meet us next week or watch our next episode with these new Info Ohio resources. Well, Roger and Judy, as always, thank you for joining me today and sharing your expertise. Thank you to our loyal districts and teachers for joining us. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next episode.